Rebic, Rafa, tira, gol! Raffaele Leao! Oggi segna Leo! La mia giornata è iniziata così! Oggi
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Torgard. Ollie Fisher is out. He had family emergency, a minor one, so no cause for concern there. But he had some stuff he had to attend to, so he's out for the day. So it's going to be me as your host. I'm sorry to everyone, and we got Madison as co-host today.
Yeah, this episode will be over in about 5 minutes because AJ and I just get straight to the point, and that's about it. So
Yeah, Ollie likes to ramble, and I guess that's probably good content for you guys, but we're not that way. So this will be a rather quick episode, and I apologize in advance. But jumping right in, first thing we got to talk about, Napoli. That was fun, huh?
fun to say the least. I think everyone's blowing how bad we looked out of proportion. We looked like shit, but Napoli had, couple shots on target, as did we, and they just got one past the goalie. The first corner that Mike has given up all season. But other than that one chance, Napoli didn't have much. So it's not like they destroyed us. We just couldn't do anything in the final third.
Yeah, I'm looking at the post-match stats here, and it really was almost a dead even game. I mean, They had 51% of possession. We had 49. The XG for us was 0.5. Theirs was 0.7. They had 11 shots. We had 12. We both only had 2 shots on target, though. I mean, everything was the same. Both one big chance. The pass percentage was near even, 81% to 79%. Fouls were about the same. We both had 5 corners. The difference was we were offside 5 times. They had 0. And we'll get to the offside that really made a difference for us a bit here. But, I mean, really everything was the exact same. Yes, we looked bad and we were upset, but I think the 2 main contributors to that is we expect so much more from our players, and 2, they scored quick off a corner. It's always a set piece with us. And I saw Napoli fans saying that was the first time that player Elmas had scored, I think, all season, or he's had 2 all season.
It was his second goal since the first game, I think.
Something like that. And it was their first time scoring from a corner in forever. I don't know when exactly, but so they were all shocked from it. But if there ever was a game to score a corner, it's against Milan. We just, it's been 10 years now, and we can't defend set pieces. I don't understand it. No matter, and the personnel.
You say that, but that was the first goal off a corner that Mike has let in all season. Granted, he missed 2 months, but
yeah,
that's not,
Yeah, I mean, for Mignon, it's not bad. I do think he could have done better there. I mean, he was really close to it. So if his reflexes were just a bit faster, I think he would have got there. I think his hand was just seconds late. But I mean, it was Florenzi's man, I believe, who he was supposed to be marking, that they got away. And yeah, that they beat us in the 5th minute, and that was it. We couldn't come back from that. When you have 85 minutes to get 1 goal, it's pretty bad. No matter how even the performance is, because we didn't look. I mean, we did look sloppy, but we weren't piss poor against Porto or against Sassuolo or Fiorentina. We weren't giving things away. I mean, well, I take that back. Kessie lost possession 10 times in the first half. In fact, I think that is the actual stat, was 10 possession lost in the first half. But credit to him, the second half he looked a lot better, and sure enough, once that midfield started working, then we started getting our attacks. And so the first half was pretty bad, but the total game wasn't.
Yeah, it almost seems like as soon as Brahim came off, the team started to gel a little bit more, because the team wants to play through him, but he just does not have the skill set to play the ball. I mean, he can play the ball forward, but he gets knocked off the ball every chance he gets.
Yeah, and when he does get knocked off, he's rarely winning free kicks. He won a couple yesterday, but they weren't in positions that mattered. They're middle of the pitch, halfway line. I do think when he came off, things looked better. When we switched to a 4-4-2, we were being a lot more threatening, because it was just long balls over the top to the 2 tall strikers, and just hope for something, which is never the best game plan. But that was working. Credit to Salamakers. He looked active and was actually doing really well once he came on. I don't think Macias had a terrible game like I'm seeing online, but a lot of his inverted crosses were to nowhere. A lot of his one-on-ones against Di Lorenzo were bad. He was losing. So I will say this was one of his worst games. It was frustrating to watch him as a fan, I guess, of Macias. But I mean, I can't really pick out anyone who
He was like
that
one of the only ones
great.
taking shots, though. So
Yeah. I mean, he
you
had
can
one of our
say
2
that
shots on target. So
he looked bad, but he was the only one who was actually believing in himself to take shots.
and I agree with that. I think his game started to drop when Zlatan started to demand balls from him more,
Mm-hmm.
because then you noticed, I mean, even the commentators were saying it, but you noticed that anytime someone got the ball in the final third, the first thing they did was look up to find Zlatan, and then they just lobbed it over. And if the ball's not pinpoint precise to him, he just can't get to it anymore. He's not fast
Yeah,
enough, not in the opposition box to get there before the goalkeeper or something. And a few times the pass was good, he didn't expect it, or his first touch let him down. And I don't know, the decline of Ibra has been a sad thing to see, because it's really just been the last couple months, like when he came back
yeah.
from injury at the start of the season, he immediately scored against Lazio and then was injured again. But then he became top goal scorer. I think he's on 6th for the league now, and we thought, all right, cool, Zlatan's back. And maybe it's because he's had to play a full 90 for 5 or 6 games
But
in a row
also,
here.
he's had Brahim and Krunic and Macias feeding him the ball. Now, Macias has been good the past couple of games, but he doesn't have Rebic. He doesn't have Liao.
And I think if either of them were in, we're talking about a different game here.
Yeah.
Because and Krunic didn't have a bad game either. It's just he's not a winger, I mean, surely switching formations right now to like a 4-3-3, or well, not a 4-3-3, like the 4-4-2, I guess, would be a better plan than trying to make a midfielder a winger. It's just not going
Right.
to work. He's not creative enough, and it's not a knock on him. It's just not the way he's supposed to play. So I don't know. I think we got to reevaluate that if we can't get one of those players back. But I do think Liao is tentative for the Empoli game on Wednesday. It just depends. I've seen mixed reports that he's for sure out, and then I've seen some say he's probably going to be back. I know Teo's going to be back, which I guess we could talk about him real quick. He was out. He had a fever, so he was sick and missed it. And then there were reports that Romagnoli was going to miss it because he also had a fever. And then Sky said, never mind, we got that wrong. So that was a fun little scare for the day. Actually, the defense, I know we lost, so this might sound weird, but I thought our defense was actually good.
You mean Tomori was good?
Oh, Tomori was fantastic, but I thought Romagnoli had a good game. I was more impressed by Ballatore than upset at him, so that's always a plus. And I didn't think Florenzi did that bad defensively either. I mean, he likes to lob those huge long balls over the top, and that's a fault of his own. But he almost scored. Remember, he had that shot, that rebound from outside the box.
Yep.
That was a good one. Yeah, man, I really don't think anyone looked god awful. I thought Tonali was fine. I thought the subs were a bit weird when Benacer came on for Tonali. I thought Kessie looked the worst and needed to come
Same.
off. But then again, he scored that goal at the end, even though it was called off. So maybe he redeemed himself a bit. It looked like there had to been some sort of team talk at halftime, like, bro, you need to get your shit together or we're taking you off. Like, he just hasn't been good lately, And
No, he's
and
like
the second half
a
was a lot
shell
better.
of himself from last year.
Yeah,
But even
absolutely.
before last year, he played like this. So like we have expectations that he's going to continue his form from last year, when in reality, this is the Kessie that we've had for the past 3 years that we've had him, 4 years.
Yeah, the first 2 seasons we had him, he was pretty average or below average. And then it was last year, and I think the second half of the year prior, when we resumed from the COVID break, he looked really good.
Yeah.
So it was like a year and a half, and that half season really blended into last season as well. So it just seemed like a super long time. But yeah, the majority of his performances haven't been this world class level, this $8 million a year that he's demanding. It sounds like he's going to walk because he keeps going back for these higher offers, and we're just not getting it to him.
I don't understand why we don't sell him in January.
I don't think anyone's going to buy him, knowing that he's free in
Yeah.
June. And seeing the way he's performing, I don't think anyone's going to pay him $8 million either. I don't think PSG would do it. Tottenham, I don't think any of them do it. Tottenham might actually, because
Until he goes to Inter Milan for $500,000 more a
dude,
season.
if he goes to Inter, I don't know what I'll do, but he's really upset. All right, let's talk about that fucking goal.
Offside goal.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
If they would have called a foul on Giroud, I would have believed it more than offside.
Mhm.
They called it offside, but yet the Napoli defender hit the ball first, and normally that cancels out the offside.
Not even first, just in general, just only. He's the only one who touched it. Yeah.
So, and I'm pretty sure it came off of a Napoli player.
And that's the part I'm not 100% sure on, because it was Salamakers and I can't remember who else. Kalulu. And they kind of collided with a Napoli player, and it looked like the three of them kind of hit at the same time. So I don't know who it came off of there.
Right.
And that's the only little bit of leeway I really give Massa, because if it's coming off of us, even though it hits Juan Jesus on the ground, it can still be kind of considered a forward pass towards Giroud, because Jesus has to play the ball. If he doesn't, technically it goes to Giroud. Now, we all know he's on the ground. He's not in on goal, but I don't think that is taken into consideration with the rule. I think it's just, look, he's offside, and it's a forward pass to him. So I think that's where they could call it. The problem for me is there's no justification from the referee. I mean, I know they write their post-match notes, but we don't see that, They give that to the AIA, and that's it, and then it's final. But
yeah, but even if it's a forward pass to a player offside, as long as it hits a Napoli player first, the offside is null and void because it's like a broken up pass.
I don't think so, man. I think I've seen it get called before. I mean, I think that would make the most sense. I don't think it's necessary, but I've seen some random offsides where it's been intercepted before.
Regardless, very questionable call. In fact,
Yes.
Paramount, we watch it on Paramount, they called it a handball.
Yeah, and so that was the other thing I was looking for. When it hit Kalulu and Salamakers and the Napoli guy, like, I still don't know who it came off of, what part of the body it came off of. It was just kind of all in there. And then the other thing that I saw was leading up to the play before Drew goes down, he's kind of got like that on a Napoli player. And if they wanted to call it a foul on that, like you said, that I could understand it. But I don't know.
Yeah,
There was a lot going on. To be honest, I'm probably leaning towards it being the correct call, just because if the offside is considered a forward pass, like, maybe there's just a lot of ifs. Now, I do think, since we don't have any confirmation of any of that, it probably shouldn't be called. I don't know. I feel like it's not enough to overturn a decision. But if you called it in the buildup, then you just like, okay, does that make sense?
But I mean, also, you can't rely on the ref to win a game, to allow you need to be more convincing,
Yeah.
And we sucked yesterday. That's just what happened.
I mean, look, when we scored it and you quoted me, I don't know why, I was already pissy, but I said we robbed them because I didn't think we deserved anything. And then we got that goal, and I was like, all right, we just stole a point here, undeserved, but great. And then they robbed us of that robbery. So, yeah, I don't think we deserved anything out of that game, but we should have got at least 1 point. It is what it is. Tops and flops.
Hang on 1 second. Sorry, someone's at the door.
Oh, okay.
Top, I will say Mike, flop, Kessie.
I don't know if I'll give Mike the top, because he ultimately still did concede a goal. I'm going to give my top to Tomori. I think he made a lot of huge saves. That sliding one on Pantania when he was alone in the box was a big deal. That probably saved us another goal. He was running everywhere, made a bunch of awesome sliding challenges and saves. So definitely going to pick Tomori for that. Romagnoli a close second for me, but Tomori my number one. And I don't know if I want to say Kessie my flop. I'm leaning towards it. You know what? I'm going to say Zlatan. He didn't do anything. He had one shot and he went wide of the post. other than that, I mean, he was just a walking telephone pole. He didn't do anything. He was just tall. He was there and I don't think he was even offside. He just never played. He just kind of walked around the field. So I'm going to go Zlatan flop. Um, and yeah, Tomori top for me there. But one last thing on that, since I know a majority of our audience is US based, so we all watch it on Paramount Plus. They need to get their shit together because that connection yesterday was awful. So much of the game was just gone. Like the screen was black and then frozen, and that would be 10, 15 seconds every minute, every 2 minutes. That was horrible. I was praising them pregame because the product was fantastic. You know, they had in studio stuff, they had a Zlatan interview, they had that hype video, and they had the commentators live in the stadium, which turned out to be an issue as well. But at the time, I was like, wow, they're doing a lot of good stuff here. And then the feed to the game was awful. And when they started, because they get the game on tape delay, about 4 or 5 seconds, they had the commentators live. So they're commentating live, and we hear that live, but we don't see it live. So when Napoli was lining up for their corner, no one's taken the corner kick yet, and you already hear Dre Cordero and Matteo Benetti screaming about this goal, and the kick hasn't even happened yet. So, I mean, we all got spoiled there about how to heart attack. I was like, why is everyone screaming? Nothing's happened. But so, yeah, it's they need to get that together. They ultimately did fix the tape delay, but it was what, the second half when they finally got that together.
Yeah, but then the second half, my stream was blacking out every minute and then going back 10 seconds. So by the end of the game, I was behind like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. So mine was doing that as well, and that wasn't just our game. Every game I watched on Saturday was like that as well. So I don't know what their feed issue. I thought it was my Apple TV. I thought because I used a wet wipe and dusted my entertainment center the other day, and I dusted the top of the Apple TV, and I was thinking I got water in the outlets, and I broke this thing, you know. But so part of me is glad everyone else was having the same issues there. But yeah, they really need to get that together. That was ridiculous. So hopefully it's fixed by our next game, which brings us to the Empoli preview. I'll get some pre-match stats, but
I was about to look up as well.
What are your thoughts here? I mean, head-to-head, we historically draw the most. Our last 2 games against, we played them in 2019. We won 3-0. But then before that, it was a draw, a loss, a win, and then a draw. So, but none of that stuff matters. I mean, we're a completely different team from now.
I think that, I mean, they're in 9th on 27 points. Mm-hmm. So they're not they're only 12 points behind us.
And they got wins over Napoli, which we couldn't do. A win over Udinese, which we couldn't do. And they also had a 3-4 win over Hellas Verona, which we did do exactly the same as them. So I think they're kind of like the surprise of the season, to be honest with you. They also beat Fiorentina, which we didn't do. They beat Sassuolo, which we didn't do. So Empoli seems to be able to do everything that we can't do. And that scares me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, they have more goals conceded than goals for.
Yeah.
So as long as we have one of the better defense. I was about to say, but there's so many other teams who've conceded less goals than us.
Yeah. I mean, we've scored 2 goals, in our last 3 games. So
yeah,
we're not.
It's going to be tough, but they've conceded 30 goals this season. So
and that's a lot.
Yeah, and it's only halfway through. So I think that we will come out with 3 points here and go into Christmas with a nice win.
I really hope so. I'm just looking at their top players and their top goal scorer. They do have Pinamonti on 6, but then after that, it's a bunch of 3s, which kind of foils us pretty well. Zlatan on 6, and then I think we have someone on 4, Leao on 4, and Brahim on 3. So we're basically, I don't know. I mean, besides the fact that we don't concede nearly as much as them, we're basically doing the same. We score a lot more. Mm-hmm. We have 36 goals to their 28. But yeah, Empoli's going to be a lot harder than people think. But if Leao's back, and rumors are that he might be, we know Teo will be back. He returned to training now that his fever magically broke the day after the game. That was fantastic. I think he'll be back in time. So hopefully we look to rebound pretty big here. I mean, typically we've been doing that all season. After a big loss, we've been bouncing back. But then this run of form in the last 6-7 games here has been really rough. I mean, I think
It seems like the Inter game always screws us.
Yeah.
And then, but eventually we bounce back, and as long as we bounce back before February 6th when we play Inter.
Hopefully we bounce back before January 6th when I'm live from San Siro to watch us beat Roma, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, that's really it to say about Empoli. There isn't much more than that. They're in good form. We're in bad form. They beat who we lost to, but we've beat everyone they've lost to. Predictions?
2-1 win.
I think 2-1's actually a pretty good shout. I'm going to go 3-1. I think if Leao comes back, we're going to finally see some attacking here. I'm kind of leaning towards Giroud starting if his fitness is back, just because Latin's played a full 90 for, 5 weeks in a row now and hasn't done anything with it. So I think Giroud might start, and hopefully he can score again. I know he's on Giroud's on 4 goals for the season. Yeah, hopefully Giroud gets back on the score sheet. Hopefully Macias does. I need to get that money from Isaac soon here. He needs 2 more goals. And yeah, that's really it as far as the Empoli preview goes. Before we get to listener questions, there are a couple interesting rumors and points of discussion here. We'll just touch on quickly. Torino wants to make their Pobega loan permanent, and supposedly we are open to selling him. No price has been set, but he's been fantastic for them. I mean, he scored yesterday. We could have used that, but I think that's a bad idea. I don't think we should sell him, especially with Kessie leaving.
Yeah, with Kessie leaving, it doesn't make sense. And he's like homegrown. I guess unless we want to raise funds and we have a buyback clause, I'm cool with it. But
I don't even think that is a good idea, to be honest with you. I think we really just got to get him. I mean, I'm pulling up his stats here. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists. His overall rating for the season after 15 matches is 7.3. I mean, that's good. That's better than us, better than most of our players. And like I said, homegrown. He's young. He's 22. He's Italian, which is important as far as our team sheet structure goes. We do need more Italians on the team. I think we're at like 68% of our team is foreign players right now. And so we're getting to that threshold where we're going to have to start getting more domestic players in. So that is actually a big plus. And he knows the league, and he's killing it in the league. So it makes more sense to me to, especially if Kessie leaves, bring him back next season as a starter. I'm not even against just terminating his loan in January, to be honest with you. And then we get Adley in as well. And now we actually have some depth that's scoring. I mean,
yeah, I don't understand the idea of selling him when our entire project is based around youth. Exactly. And when you have a youth player who's producing in the league, it's not like he's producing in Serie B. He's producing in top flight. So
yeah, and he's doing it against good teams. I mean, yesterday Hellas Verona, like I'm not saying that's a top team, but they're
difficult.
It's a goal scoring side. He's doing great there. I'm trying to see who else he scored against Empoli. We're going to need that. He had an assist against Udinese, an assist against Sampdoria. He hit, ironically, his worst game this season was against us, so that's good. Scored against Genoa. Had a good game against Juve. Had a great game against Lazio. Scored against Salernitana. Only played 15 minutes, but yeah, I mean, the guy's good, man, and I think we should give him a chance. So no to selling him, keep him around. Speaking of selling, something we did sell today was Casa Milan.
For a loss.
Why. Yeah, for a loss. And I don't know how the amortization works with real estate. I have no idea how that counts in the books. Won't even pretend to, but we bought it for 42 million 10 months ago, and we just sold it for 20 million euros.
I'll tell you how it counts. A loss is a loss.
Yeah.
For business. So
yeah. I don't know why we were even looking to sell it. We hadn't even had it a year yet, I know we're still going to use it for like the museum, the headquarters, the bistro, the ticket office, the store, all that stuff is going to stay there, remain open. And it says we plan on continuing to invest in the building because we just opened the media house there as well. So I don't know. It all doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest. It's really strange. I don't know why we would sell our headquarters less than a year after buying it for half the price, and then we're investing more into it. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, especially if we just bought it for the 42 and we put more money in to open this media house and other stuff. So our top dollar that we've spent on it is probably closer to 50 or 60 million. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. That's really weird to me. Yeah, any other thoughts on that?
It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. We did have a target in the stands of the game yesterday. Now, not one that's
He's
going to
not
get
a target
anyone.
anymore.
Yeah, it sounds like we're going to have him. I mean, probably going to join us. I think he'll go to the Primavera. He's only 19, but him and his agent were in the stand sitting with Zaccardo. And I'm going to butcher his name. It looks Turkish to me, but he is a center back from Zurich, and his name is Bekir Omoragic. I don't know. So I apologize. But yeah, he was in the stands watching the game yesterday with Sicardo and his agent. Suppose we're gonna make a move for him. He's valued around 10 mil, but it's negotiable. I would imagine to go straight to the Primavera. I don't. If this is our replacement for Kier, then we're in trouble. Not that the kid's bad. I've never seen him play. I just don't think that's what you don't sign a
Right.
19-year-old to replace your vet player. Yeah, I don't know anything else about him. I don't think anyone does. Even Ollie would have nothing to say about him. So that's not even me being quick. That's just when we got the news yesterday. I talked to Ollie about it. I was like, "Who's this guy?" And even he's like, "No idea." So, yeah. Oh, back to Napoli real quick because I forgot to mention this. Pioli said it was one of our best games.
Yeah, I think Pioli smoked some crack before the game.
I was blown away when he said he's like it was one of our best games in the recent period. He said we're not tired. I thought we looked kind of tired. He said we could play with more quality, but we played a game from the point of view of intensity and energy among the best in the league. From a physical and willpower point of view, the team was good in every way. We missed the last step.
I mean,
if that's the
he's
case,
not
the last
wrong
step's the
because
only
we did
important
miss
one.
the last step. The last step is the most important step, and that's putting the ball in the net.
Yeah, but I don't think we played good. I mean, if you compare it to Fiorentina and Sassuolo and Udinese, then yes, it was our best game out of those four because we didn't concede a giveaway shitty goal. We conceded a corner, which, whatever, that's dumb too. But, I mean, at least it wasn't. Well, how did they even get the corner? Was it from a giveaway? Was it from a Kessie giveaway?
I don't even
Probably. I don't remember, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I mean, we conceded so many shitty goals. But I will say I thought our defense looked best this game. So, I mean, I guess I understand that point, but I don't know. He's saying we lacked quality, but we didn't deserve to lose. I'm like, we absolutely deserved to lose. I didn't think we deserved a point in that. I'm just kind of glancing over these quotes here. He said on the disallowed goal, I know that in the end they will say that the rule is right, but I ask, how does a player on the ground who does nothing to intervene, how does he cause damage to the defender? Drew does nothing to intervene. Now let's lick our wounds and try to do better on Wednesday. So, I mean, I kind of agree with that. And I know this is going to sound very after the fact, but it is something I've always felt. I just have a reason to bring it up now. The offside rule needs to be changed to where you're only offside if your entire body is beyond the last line of defenders. Because how many times do we see these minuscule things where the only thing offside is Zlatan's nose? Like, what does that affect the play? You know, if he beats them, he beats them. That's skill. And I guess if your body's like the majority over it, then yeah, you got that little extra leg on him. But I mean, unless you're all the way past the line of defenders, you're not really making a difference on the play. You know, you don't have this massively unfair advantage. Not in today's game when everyone's so quick. So I don't know. I think that needs to be looked at. It'll never change. And I'm sure people in the comments will call me dumb for even suggesting it. But I don't know. I just think we see so many minuscule offsides that get called because we have VAR, but they never got called on Inzaghi because we didn't have VAR then. So we essentially used to play this way. You know, it used to be like if it's really close, give them the benefit of the doubt. And now, because we have so much technology, we can't give them the benefit of the doubt. We do what's fact, and that's technically the right thing to do. But I think the rule needs to be adjusted to accommodate that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think, and that would hurt us too. Yeah, we would concede more goals that way, but also
Oh, no, I think it helps Zlatan the most.
Yeah, I do too. It would definitely help Zlatan. I mean, 10 of our offsides were damn near point blank, minus this Giroud one, which was even more horseshit. So, yeah, I think that needs to really be looked at, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but it would be a nice change of plans here. All right, I guess should we just move on to questions then? Wasn't much else to discuss there. Haven't read any of these preemptively, so I'm just going to read them all off, and we'll see what happens. But this one is from Baresi the Goat 6. Keep up the great work, guys. Thank you. He said, for me, it's time to sell Kessie ASAP. He has only played 2 good games all season. His head is elsewhere, and we can't be playing with 10 men. What are your guys' thoughts? Yes.
I think we should sell him. Like AJ said earlier in the podcast, I don't know if anyone's going to buy him. He is playing with his head in the clouds. He has already left the locker room after saying that he's the president of the locker room.
Yeah, and remember, he was captain, and then we made him vice captain, and now he's nothing. Now he's just on the team sheet, So, I think Zlatan was deputy captain. Romagnoli was main captain for a Napoli game. But yeah, I mean, if we could get any money for him in January, then yes, take it. But unfortunately, I don't see that happening. I think teams are realizing that they could just get our best players for free, and that's
the
unfortunate truth. I mean, we were able to replace Donnarumma with someone equal to or better in Mignon. Hakan, of course, is the highest rated player in the league this season, and we never saw that in his 5 years with us. So that one's kind of biting us more than the Donnarumma one, to be honest, and no one expected that, but it is what it is. And I'm sure wherever Kessie goes, he's going to turn it around and become world class. So it's going to be shitty no matter what, but I think that's just where we're at. This next question is from Fly Eli 17. Not sure if we actually did discuss this, but I'll read anyways. Not sure if anyone noticed the Paramount disaster class yesterday, but the audio-visual timing blackouts is what I've noticed consistently for Serie A games this year. ESPN Plus did a much better job last year. What do you guys think?
ESPN wanted the rights because Cristiano was in the league, and they literally did nothing to promote it.
Yeah.
I will say that the broadcasting quality was a little bit better, but overall, what Paramount's doing to actually grow the game and grow like match day is far better than what ESPN did.
Yeah, I agree with that. ESPN, like you said, they got it probably for Ronaldo, and I think that was most obvious when their pundits consistently every week hated on Serie A. Like that Stevie Nichols guy. I mean, that dude's a 50 or no, probably like a 70-year-old moron. Yeah, not a fan of him. He sucks, but yeah, ESPN, they had no pregame coverage. They had very little post-match, and it was only just like it was never specific to the game you watched. It was like, here's the week roundup, and Serie A gets 5 minutes of it. Then we're going to go talk about Premier League, who they don't have any rights to. They get no money off of. So I don't know. It was a very weird system there. And I do recall the audio being missing in quite a few games.
Yeah.
The first 10, 15 minutes, like it would be silent. So overall, I would much rather Paramount. Like Maddie said, I think their product to help grow the league is significantly better. I mean, they sent Bonetti to the stadium. We never had, at least since I've been watching in America, we've never had a commentator live in the stadium.
Right.
That was like for our network. We always did like the world feed, stuff like that. And people have issues with Matteo or Marco Messina doing the studio stuff because we have access to them on Twitter and they seem like a part of the group, but ultimately they're doing things that we want to do, and Paramount made that possible. So I support Paramount a lot. I do think they need to get their shit together, especially this week. It was awful, so I completely agree with you there, Eli. But ultimately, I'm picking Paramount over ESPN.
Yeah.
All right. Next question's from the Magnifico 5. He said, do you think we might end up in a position where we will struggle and fight for top 4, let alone the Scudetto, just like last season. I think we're still in the race. I mean, we're only 4 points off the top, yet we're 8 points clear of fifth. So, I mean, I guess that's three bad games, and we could be out of the top four. Picture,
Except 5, 6, and 7 are all tied on points.
That's true. So we would drop down, and we have a loss to Fiorentina, we have a draw to Juve, and we're about to play Roma. So yeah, I mean that could actually be pretty bad. But I don't know. I think we're still more in the title picture than out of it at this point.
Same. Because we're 4 points out of first.
Yeah, 4 points out of first.
Yeah, 4 points out of first.
Second.
6 points out of seventh.
8.
Gotta think positively here. We're closer to first than seventh.
Yeah. 2 bad games from Inter and 2 good games from us puts us in first. 3 bad games from us and 3 good games from Roma, Fiorentina, Juve puts us out of it. So, I mean, it's going to take a lot more for us to get out than in, but we still have 18, 19 games left to play. Are we at the halfway point? No, Empoli's the halfway point, 19, and then, yeah. Wow. So Wednesday is the halfway of the season. Jeez. That came quick.
Right.
Wow. Yeah. Time flies. All right. Next question was from Gams87. Is it time to start thinking of another option for Brahim? Physicality is a serious problem, and he's having trouble of late creating and making plays. COVID after effects aside, what are your thoughts? Merry Christmas to you guys. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you to you as well, and Merry Christmas to you. Yes, I do think it's time to consider Brahim options. I said earlier, maybe switch to the 4-4-2. I don't know if he is suited for that with Krunic on the wing, and I don't think it's Krunich's fault. I just don't think he's a winger, and that puts too much reliance on Brahim, who's too small, not strong enough. Like you said, the physicality is a problem. So if he can start winning fouls when he gets pushed, then we have something there. But for now, I think we're trying to play through him too much, and he's just not big or strong enough to handle that.
I don't know if you remember, but at the beginning of the season, I was shitting on Brahim Diaz.
And I was shitting on you because he was producing.
And then he started scoring, and then you guys started to shit on me, and it just came full circle.
That's usually how it goes. Yeah, I do think we need other options. I mean, I mentioned recalling Adley a couple weeks ago. I don't think that's happening, but I would like to see that. We do need another player.
We need answers, man.
We do. We need something. And weirdly, I know just for the last 2 weeks I've been saying a center back's all we need in January. Not all we need, but that's the most important thing. And after last night, I don't think we need a center back.
No, I think that we need to play Benacer over Kessie and have Benacer and Tonelli start because they're the future midfield of this team.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Benacer needs more minutes.
Benacer needs a lot more minutes because when he's playing more, he's one of the best midfielders in the league. So
I wonder if the plan is to give Kessie as much minutes as possible to try and get him in the shop window, and it's just backfiring because he's playing awful.
Yeah, but then you think they'd be like, fuck it, bench him.
Yeah.
Because if you bench him, then teams won't be able to be like, oh, he did this, this, and this. No, he was benched all season. I'm not going to pay him that.
Yeah. Especially when it's like a hollow midfield, if it was like a deep one like Chelsea or something, you'd be like, oh yeah, well there's a lot of players to rotate, but we got like 4 players. And yeah, so it's rough, but yeah, we need to look at other options. And I want to go back to where I said we don't need a center back. We do need a center back, but we don't need shouldn't be our top priority because at least Romagnoli is actually reaching his form again, and Tomori is still God
amazing.
I guess it
still
is
overlooked by the national team though, which is shocking.
Yeah. But I think maybe, our issue now is scoring goals all of a sudden. So we need Leao and Rebic to come back, but if they're going to be out much longer going into January, I think maybe look at a striker, just bite the bullet. Zlatan's contract has been renewed. I know he's been talking about it, but he hasn't really earned one. So I think a striker would be a good call. But all right, next one is from Soto. This is funny as we just had a freak out, but he says, everyone needs to chill. Keep close to the top for the moment. get every player healthy again and things will get better. We're only at the half point of the season. It's amazing that after all the problems, we're only 4 points away from the top. Happy holidays and Forza Milan. Yeah, actually, I agree completely. Yeah, spot on, Soto. You're right. We do need to chill out. We are still close to the top. Yeah. I had someone. I don't remember. I don't know. I had someone mad at me for saying that we weren't out of it yet, and I don't remember what they said, but yeah, some random person was like, "This guy's dumb," because I was like, "Hey, we're only at the time I was like, we're only 1 point off the top. It's not a big deal."
Right. We have one of the best 4 teams in the league this year. I do believe that. The problem is that our depth is not one of the best 4 depths in the league. So injuries keep on screwing us, but we will finish top 4.
Yeah, I agree with that. Next one is from Lorenzo Giorgio. He was actually on the pod last week, so thank you, Lorenzo, for filling in for me last week. But he said, would playing Macias as number 10 be a genuine possibility with Brahim struggling and with our wide players coming back from injury by the new year? What's the point of forcing to play Brahim out of form and developing for Real? Just a thought, as Pioli has lots of options. Well, yes, I do think Macias down the middle is an option. In fact, we've seen it. He's shifted there plenty, and he looks fine. The issue is we put him there. Is Salmakers in well enough form to take the right wing spot? Is Castillejo in good enough form to take that spot? Is Leao coming back? Is Rebic coming back? If the answer is yes to both of those winger questions, then yeah, Macias down the middle is a great way to show Brahim that he's replaceable. That we need depth. He needs some competition there. But we also have Danny Maldini. Maybe he's worth something.
But also when Rebic and Leao are back, you're going to put Rebic in the middle and Leao out wide, or Leao in the middle and Rebic out wide. So once those
in replace of Zlatan, though, you wouldn't replace Brahim with him.
Why not? Because then
have we done that before? I don't think we have.
I think we have, and then we always bitch that Rebic sucks in the middle.
Well, yeah,
it's definitely happened. And then him and Zlatan are gonna just play up top. That's gonna be like a 4-4-2.
Yeah, which I don't even have an issue with the 4-4-2, to be honest with you. But I wouldn't mind seeing Macias down the middle. I don't know if I'd say we're developing for Real because, I mean, yeah, he's a loan player, but we have the option. But it's a 2-year loan.
Mm-hmm.
That'll make it 3 consecutive years for us. Whether he stays with us after 3 years because his loan expires, or because they do their buyback or whatever. 3 years is the average length that you get a player on a team. So, I mean, if he goes back to Real afterwards, yes, we developed him, but ultimately he was our player for 3 seasons. That's, why do we want to, why are we taking a player on loan for 3 seasons to bench him so that we don't develop for a team out of our league? It's one thing if we do that with like a Juve, then it's like some weird tactical piece. But to me, Brahim's our player, and he's our player for the foreseeable future. Whether he goes back in 2 years or not, we don't know yet. But he's on our squad. We want him to do well. We want him to be better. And yeah, so he needs to grow.
When the team suffers, every player suffers.
Exactly.
When the team is in form, Brahim will start playing good again, and everyone will be like, "Oh, I love Brahim."
Yeah.
So it's easy to pick on players when the team's not in form.
I agree. And I don't think Lorenzo's picking on him, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, he hasn't been good.
You're picking on him.
I am? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Sorry, Lorenzo. I didn't mean to. This one's from Rock Award. When was Kessie notified that he was demoted from captaincy for Napoli game? Timing could have had a serious impact on his performance in that game. I have no idea.
He looks like shit all season. It's not like this game was special.
Yeah, in fact, I thought the second half was one of his better games this season.
I know.
But yeah, we don't get notified when he gets notified. I don't think there's any way for us to know. I would imagine he was aware of it going into it. Most team sheets are kind of settled a couple days before the game and then announced to the public in an hour prior to the game. But I think he knew all week, and I don't think going from the deputy captain to just a regular player is that big of an issue, because whether you're deputy captain or not, if the captain's on the field, you're not captain, so I don't think it makes a difference. Yeah, I don't think that made an issue. I just think he hasn't played well. But let me just double check, make sure that was the final question that we got. Got another one here. Sorry, just reading all of them, make sure that this is the only one we didn't get. Yeah, so this is from Ketamine156, and if we got demonetized for reading your name, then I'm going to be very upset. The negativity aside, I think a lot of people keep forgetting that this isn't the same era as in, say, 2017. We are past that people. Wait, it's a typo, but I think you meant past. We're past that people actually complaining about the lackluster performances are really not acknowledging the fact that the rest is also very important for players. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well. Appreciate that. And I agree. This is absolutely not the. Did you just see what Oliver just sent us?
No.
Yeah. Well, anyways, his issue is a bit more serious than we thought, but it's still fine. Yeah. His mom broke her ankle. That's it. We thought it was a sprain and he just had to drive her to the hospital, but apparently she broke her ankle. So send Ollie some well wishes when you guys see this. But yeah, as far as not being the same as 2017, yeah, this is a totally different team than that. This isn't the same banter era. And I think that's why people are so critical. We thought we were past that. But every team's going to have bad spells. I mean, Chelsea is probably the best team in the world right now, and they can't get a win to save their life. So it happens, We go through bad spells, and ours hasn't been that bad, really. I mean, we've lost 3 games all season. It's not the end of the world. We just have looked bad doing it. So it's frustrating. Right. But yeah, it's a period of growth for the players, and hopefully they can bounce back. And that's really that. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we close out the episode?
I think that was perfect.
Yeah. Well, under an hour, like we promised.
And we actually went longer than I expected.
Yeah. No, we had some good questions, so that helps. So thank you to everyone listening for that. Follow us on everything. Subscribe. If you need any Milan merchandise for the holidays here, the shop link is in the description below.
It will not arrive before Christmas.
It definitely won't arrive, but if you want it, you can get it anyways. Yeah, we have one more. Next week we don't have any game. Well, we'll have Empoli to review, but no games to preview because we have a week off. And then after that is the new year, and I will be in Milan for Milan Roma. Everyone else will be here, and that's a story for another day. I've been your host. Thank you guys so much for listening. Torg45. And Maddie.
Yeah, Edward__Tove.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Eccolo Ante in area di rigore, Ante, Ibra, gol! Vediamo se è buono, ce lo dà buono.